And action. Here we are, guys, with my buddy, Joe DeSena. We're with the Strong Life Podcast. Joe, this is the second time I think we've done podcasts together. And you guys have requested that we grill Joe and find out what's going on. He moved to Singapore, expanding Spartan race, pushing the envelope on life. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about life, wrestling, toughness, business, health, eating, retirement.
Everything, yeah, we'll talk about everything. The funny thing is, somebody wrote me today and said, hey, good, I haven't talked in a while. Hey, good job on the Spartan Empire. I was like, Spartan Empire, dude? It's a Spartan sweat box. Am I allowed to curse on this thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know how fucking hard it is to build a bit,
Jeez.
Empire. I don't even think the English, the Queen and the King, I don't even think they had an empire when they had an empire. Right? Can you imagine the nightmares that they were dealing with? Like, we got a big problem in Africa. The natives have gone crazy, and the lions ate two of our guys.
It's what I think what the internet has done and social media, like all the Instagram and all this stuff, is people paint a picture of what they see. They see a picture of you, or they see a 30-second video, and now they think that that's the person's life. I never get somebody email me maybe a year ago and says, Zach, how's it going? You're probably laughing your way to the bank right now. Like,
to go borrow money.
Yeah. Well, how am I laughing my way to the bank? Because I have a blog, and I really try to express to people through the communication on the internet is, guys, sometimes you see the gym pumping with 20 athletes, but then there's also times where there's 2 kids in a group, or there's times where it's slow and I'm really got to push and I have to do the business marketing that everybody talks about that they don't like doing. Or, somebody sees a photo of somebody, an internet celebrity, whatever, on vacation, and then they think their whole life is a vacation. The joke is like the people on Instagram posting like motivation and success, and they're like, yeah, they did a photo shoot for 4 hours, they rented that mansion and that car, and then they went back to living in their mom's basement because it's freaking hard. So I remember every time we get together, we always talk about the struggle. We talk about how difficult it is. The first time you and I podcasted together was you were sick. You were living in Vermont. You came down with a bad cold. And I said, so what do you do? When you're sick like this and have a cold, do you take a day off? You're like, no, I just work harder. I push harder. So you're in Vermont now, but you just spent a year. You moved the family. You guys went to Singapore, right?
We were in Singapore. We wanted to be in Asia. Me with the kids. Although in the background you might hear them watching the swim meet right now, the Olympic swim meet. I try to only have them watching Mandarin television.
Yes, I remember. We were driving in the car to the wrestling club, and they were watching Mandarin cartoons.
Yeah, so I try to do that. So obviously we have a real interest in Asian culture, and so it was moved to China, but China's just a little too dirty for me. I can't believe a Spartan's saying that, but the air quality, the water quality, the amount of people. And so Singapore was like China light. It was easier to do. It was close by. We were able to launch Malaysia, Singapore, get Japan going, get Hong Kong going, get Taiwan going. So it was a good year. The kids got to do a bilingual program, which was great. They got to meet, there's a lot of expats. They got to meet Germans and Brazilians and English and Swiss, and obviously lots of Asians. And
they moved to Singapore?
Yeah, like all these people that come over, you'd be surprised, Zach, if you and I were having a green juice, because that's all we would drink, over in Singapore together. To your right would be one of the big executives from Nike. To your left would be one of the big executives from ExxonMobil. Everybody there in business is in Singapore. Probably the most expensive city in the world. It's clean. It's spotless. I don't know if you remember years ago the kid that got caned because he
yes,
was an American kid. Remember?
Yeah. Did Michael Jackson move to Singapore, or
I don't know about Michael Jackson, but I know if you Google it, 25 years ago, I think there was a kid, an American kid. He like chewed gum and
Yes.
spit it on the floor. He did something.
Right. It was maybe less than 25 years ago.
Yeah, he got whacked, and
You love
and
that.
for all of us over here, we were like, wow, they're pretty strict over there. I don't know, that place is crazy. Let me tell you something. That guy that built Singapore, only in 50 years he built that country. He was a genius. By doing that, nobody messes around. You could let your kids jump in a taxi. You could let your kids jump on the subway. It's super safe. There's no issues. If there is an issue, you're fucked, right? So nobody messes around. They do drug testing. So if you lived over there and you and your kids came back, they would test your kids' hair, and if there was any drugs, they throw you and your family out of the country. So nobody messes around. And now some would say, well, civil liberties and this and that. Fuck that. The place, we are so screwed up as humans. What's up, buddy? Johnny just walked in. He's been taking care of our house for a year while we've been in Singapore. We are so screwed up as humans. Like, we can't even not drink giant sodas.
Yes.
Right? Like
we had this conversation with Mike from Barbell Shrugged, and Mike's like, well,
you remember that?
he's like, well, we should give people the choice or the opportunity to, if you want to eat, sometimes it freezes up the internet, but we'll be all right. He's like, you got to give people the opportunity to do the freedom to do the wrong, to do the right. But I don't watch the news, but there's some bad things going on. There's more bad things going on, especially maybe paying more attention to it since 9/11 than ever before. And it's because we're
You went too far. Listen, if we were in the 1800s right now and it was slave labor, you'd say people need to be able to make decisions, and you want, a democracy. It's gone too far. It's off the charts, ridiculous, and most of us, even you and I, right? I mean, listen, there are scientists and there are quantitative analysts and geniuses that work for most of the corporations that they figured out how to, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, they figured out what to put in foods that get, you see a bag of Doritos, you're like, I want a bag of Doritos, even though you and I know, right? It's no good for us, and it's because it's gone too far. So in my country, it would be, if I had my own country, it would be 5 a.m. wake up, we do burpees, lights out at 9, everybody's in bed, no junk food. This morning, I was at the wrestling camp with the kids. We were up 5:30 a.m. every morning. It was fantastic. Right? There's 100 kids on the track. You when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So we're all running as fast as we can. We're getting yelled at by a coach. I was as happy. It's the happiest morning of my life when I'm getting screamed at, yelled at, and being pushed.
Why? Why? Is it because you hate laziness, or you fear?
I hate laziness. Hate it. You hate it.
Within
you hate it every time I talk to you. You're pissed off.
I get pissed because that's a big thing with me. Is like, I feel like people view hard work, exercise, hard work, whether it's your work, hard work in your fitness, hard work in your kitchen, like it's a punishment. And people do get punished for the hard work. And as much as I always say I'm a teacher, even though I'm not teaching in the schools, I'm like, man, I wish I could just coach. But then I see something happen, and I'm like, I'd be fucking fired on day one. He's too mean. He's too tough. He worked me too hard.
Dude, this morning on the wrestling camp, and it's an intensive wrestling camp where we were.
Cornell.
And today was the last day of running on the track. So at 6 a.m., the coach said to me, no, we're going to let them play volleyball. I said, no, we're not. We're not. I'm not coach. I'm not part of the program. Well, it went from, we're just going to take it easy on them today, to instead of running for an hour, we ran for 2 hours. Yeah. So I'm with you, and I was happy as can be.
It's the more you do the difficult thing, the more normal it seems. So when I'm training kids, I used to I explain to people, it's like when I was running the gym, started the underground strength gym, I would say you probably got to be in 8th grade to be ready for this. Then a seventh grader came along and proved that they could do it. Then what happened is I started getting kids kind of from 13 to 18, 19, but then these 18-year-olds throwing up after a warm-up, or it's 6 p.m. and they're like, I woke up at 12 noon and all I ate today was a Pop-Tart. And I was like, shit, I need to intercept earlier. And now I find that if I get a kid to, he signs up at the gym later, he's a 16, 17-year-old, he hasn't been exposed to intensity, to uncomfortable situations, then he's mad the whole time. It's like he doesn't, like I'm punishing him. Like I'm hurting him by making him better. They got frowns on their faces. And it's like, dude, wrong. This hard work is the gift. So stop walking.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege. We were listening on the way to the camp. We listened to the audio version of Unbroken, Louis Zamperini.
Yes, I took my kids to watch the movie.
Oh man, the audio book was unbelievable. And so you listen to his story, right? Being shot down on a plane, crashing in the water, almost drowning, attacked by sharks, in a prisoner of war camp for 2 years, eating pig feces to try to stay alive. It is a privilege to be on a track in America, sweating and running. Are you kidding me? And then going to grab a 3-egg breakfast afterwards? We cannot complain about anything.
I know. I don't think it's going to... When you and I met, and then I got to spend time with you, spend time with your family, I was like, damn, Joe is tough on his kids. And then things hit me that it's okay. It's okay to be tough on them, because at the young age, if you give them the opportunity to just be lazy, they'll go lazy on you. You've got to be, you have to mold them into believing that hard work is normal, and because that's going to save their ass when the shit hits the fan, and everybody's going to go through a downtime in their life. Everybody.
I said that to them today. I said, listen, we're just training hard for that one time when you're going to need it, right? Whether it was Jay Jackson being tied to a chair and at gunpoint, right?
Yep.
Or Zamperini, who trained as an Olympic runner and then had the fortitude to get through what they put him through. Everybody faces, as you just said, everybody faces something. Could be divorce, could be cancer, whatever it is. You're going to face something. And it'd be like if you and I took a couple of kids, we had an experiment, and for 10 years, they always got a floaty and a lounge chair in the pool. At the end of 10 years, they were going to go on their own. And the first place they went was a thunderstorm in the middle of the Atlantic. How are they going to do? They just trained for 10 years with floaties and a lounge chair, right, with little umbrella drinks.
Oh, God.
Right?
It's just gonna be so foreign to them.
Yeah, you got to be ready for it. By the way, it's not just mental; it's actually physical, right? We know that the brain rewires itself to prepare for this. I just had a woman. She just set the Explorers Grand Slam. So what that is you climb the tallest peaks in 7 continents. We all know about that one, and then you go by human power to the North Pole and South Pole, and you do it as fast as you can. So I think she did it in 7 months. As soon as she was done, she said she was listening to the podcast the whole time while she was doing it. So she wanted to come meet. She finished, and I got to thank you for the podcast. She finished, came to Vermont. She blew me away. And she said, listen, she's a Russian. She's tough, right? It's wired. She's wired that way. She had a tough upbringing. And she said, we learn helplessness, but we could also learn how to help her. So it really depends on how, as you said, how we train our children. It's up to the parents and the teachers. That's it. The whole thing's on parents and teachers.
And the sport coaches. When I was teaching, I remember sometimes like parents would say, I need you as a father figure. And when I was young, I started teaching. I was 22. I just turned 22 and got my first teaching job. I went to college at 17. I remember saying to myself, how am I a father figure? I'm 17. I'm 22. And then I started, now that my kids are in school, it's like, if my kid is going to spend 6 to 8 hours in school, I need you to be a leader. It's okay to be tough on them. Not stupid, but I need you to be tough on them. I need you to teach them decision-making, right from wrong. But teachers are in a weird place nowadays where If you are,
Parents bug them and say you push
yes,
the kid too hard.
and
Why?
then
Like,
and they
you know,
don't like it.
see,
Yes, so they
I'm telling
don't.
you, man. If you
Right.
and I had a school, it would be unbelievable.
Well, we always say this. We always say we need to build a charter school.
It would look more like a prison.
But it would be a physical culture school. They would. I don't think my kids can't handle sitting in the class. They're nuts,
There'd be
especially.
no chairs in our school. All the kids would be standing. I would have barbed wire right at the front entrance. As soon as they get in, they got to crawl under the barbed wire. We do 30 burpees before you're allowed in the school. It would be nothing but water and fruits and vegetables. It would be unbelievable. The kids would come out hard and steel.
I feel like, of course, that would everybody be like they're crazy. The barbed wire is a little crazy, but listen, the most successful people are crazy.
Crazy until it works, right? When it doesn't work, you're crazy. When it works, you're a little eccentric.
I still remember the guy that created. I think I gifted his books. I'm here. His name was Gene. His name is Gene Landrum, and I heard his interview probably 7-8 years ago, and he would always say, "You got to get crazy to be creative," or those. That's like, and you have to break down to break through. And he was the guy that created that Chuck E. Cheese place. He's like, He's like, they all said I was crazy to have a rat serving pizza, dancing around, like all this stuff. But he like profiled like all the craziest successful people, and he always said they had breakdowns and then they broke through. They were crazy, and that's what allowed them to get creative. But administrators, teachers, whenever they communicate with me, they're scared. They're scared of the backlash of parents, or maybe the administration doesn't support the toughness behind it.
Let's do it. Our next project together is the underground school. Underground Spartan school, man. They come, the parents just drop them off. That's it.
I'm getting a lot more younger athletes now, like I was saying, who are homeschooled, and they'll get like they'll go to wrestling, they'll do these things during the day, they'll come to the underground, that's their phys ed class, and I think there's some kind of like high performing parents that understand that my kid is going to go to school, he's going to kind of become a robot, they're going to kill the creativity. I know our friend Ben Greenfield, he's homeschooled his kids. Laird Hamilton, Gabby Reese, they've had their kids homeschooled. It's like even a lot of these creatives who are into being part of nature, they're going more the route of homeschooling because it's less time behind a computer. People are the right people, I believe, are learning that as much as businesses are run through technology, it sucks. Like you and I had this conversation. We feel better when we're outdoors, when we're sweating, when we're working versus
not just me and you, humans in general.
Yes, no doubt.
That guy wrote me today. He said he's done 40 Spartan races. He's extremely depressed. He's at the end of his rope. I said, dude, number one, stay outside. You got to work out. You got to keep doing races. And then most importantly, you got to find a purpose, right? You got to go to a charity or go to a homeless shelter and go give. And all of a sudden now it's no longer on you. You're helping somebody. They're depending on you.
Yeah.
I can't believe how many people are depressed and lost their way, and it's for the reasons you said.
There's a lack of purpose, and if you were not trained to fight for something, then right, you will be the person that will sit in that cubicle for 25 years. And
that's a great point. If you're listening to this and you're exactly happy with where you are in your life and everything about your life, and you're everything's perfect, then don't worry about it. Don't listen to us. Chances are everything's not perfect. So that means whatever you're doing, not working.
Yes, I was at a point, I feel maybe like a year ago, when I was like, things are great. The 2 gyms are great. I've got the online stuff going. It's all great. And then I was like, and that's probably not a good thing, because good things eventually, things change with technology. Things change. You can't run your business the way you ran it, as you know, even a month ago. right? You need the tech people. They got to know.
That's why companies go out of business. They don't change with the environment.
You've got to evolve, and the bottom line is, people are on their phones. I mean, they're on. That's it. Everybody's on their phone, even when they're driving. They're looking at their phone.
Me too. I'm sure you too. I'm addicted to the damn thing.
I know.
Addicted to it. But I'm going to put a date. Maybe I'll just put a date on the calendar with you right now. What are we in? We're in 2016.
Yep.
January 1st, 2018. I'm throwing it out. How's that?
Throw out the phone?
January 1st, 2018.
I tell everybody this funny story is that when I lived in Edison, New Jersey, my parents lived like, I don't know, maybe a mile away, and I was walking there, and I was going over the bridge. It's the Jersey Turnpike Bridge, and this was, I don't know how long ago, probably got to be about 10 years ago, and I had the BlackBerry, and I'm like, I'm so sick. This is back less connected. I'm like, I'm so sick of being connected. So sick of everybody. People, that was when text messages started coming. I was like, why can't people just call me on my house phone? Why is everybody? So as I'm walking over the Turnpike Bridge, I threw it over the bridge. And I was like, yes. And then I swear to you, not a minute later, I was like, oh shit, like I'm supposed to call Yannick Silver. What's Yannick's phone number? Like I didn't. And then 4 days later, I got my phone and there was like 16 voicemails. And I was like, man, we're in this urgent world where everybody wants their results yesterday. We want to communicate yesterday. If I don't respond to somebody's email on a Saturday night at 11:30, they think something's wrong. And, props to the people that are fighting the good fight. My friend and I said this.
I forget his name, the founder of, what is it, Good Life? Life is Good.
Yeah, those New Hampshire guys. You know those guys.
New Hampshire guy, I met him. He threw away his phone. So
does a guy grew up in your area. He might be a little older. Rick Rubin, music producer. He helped like Aerosmith, Run DMC.
Right.
They say like you can't. He doesn't call. He doesn't text people. He's just. And my buddy and I had this conversation. He goes, "You'll know when you're successful because people can't contact you by phone, by text message." He goes, "Only smoke signals."
January 1. That's my goal. I'm putting it out there to the.
2018?
2018.
Why are you waiting for 2018?
This thing is going in the garbage.
Why not 2017?
I'm not ready yet. I need till 2018.
It's like I run my business through the phone, all the videos, and I feel like there's no middle ground. You've either got to be, it's like an athlete. You've got to want to be the best, or you don't give a shit if you're just
That's the
part
problem
of the
with
team.
you and I, Zach, is I said to somebody today, they said, how come you don't live in Boston where the office is for Spartan? I said, because it would kill me and it would kill all our employees. They said, what do you mean? I said, well, I would get in at 6:30 in the morning, no one would be there, so I go crazy. I'm there till 10 o'clock at night, no one will be there, so I go crazy.
Yeah.
Now, we have great people.
Yep.
But nobody's going to work at that level, right? And so it's better if I'm not there.
Yeah, and even from a business standpoint, I think that you have to remove yourself a little bit from it because it actually makes you better. Your body needs some of that kind of up and down. If you're always in it, it's like your creativity gets crushed. Whenever I would go to the mountains in July, I come back feeling amazing. I remember we went to Turks and Caicos and I didn't activate my phone for overseas. And yes, I remember I was waking up for like several days in a row at like 4 a.m. because I was so refreshed. Yeah, technology, it's the way of the future. I think we have to embrace it and find a way to make it work for us rather than us being enslaved to it.
I'm enslaved. Look, you were hitting me up yesterday. You said, hey, we're going to do this podcast. I'm like, well, I got to find a place with Wi-Fi, get the Skype thing going because he wants to do Skype. It's like a shit show. I know. I would do it on the phone, but then people would say, the audio. They're focused on the audio quality versus the fucking awesome content. Sure.
It's and that's what I said. I go, dude, you're like, is the lighting good? I go, it's good for me. But you look at other people, they're doing podcasts now. It looks like a NBC News set.
Yeah.
Like it's one person raises the bar, and now you got to go that level. And here's the truth: is like people even say this. Like I see them commenting on my YouTube. They're like, "Why doesn't this video have more views? I love this stuff. Why? Because I don't have a video guy, video woman, whatever. I don't have a professional. I don't have a perfect still photo. I don't have an awesome tagline. I don't have all that stuff, and that's part of the quote unquote game. And that's the game. Whether you like it or not, that's the way it is. And you got to decide if you're going to find a way to live that game or not. And there's a part of me that's just like, I'm just saying, fuck that game. I just don't want to be part of it. I I feel like it owns me versus me owning it.
Yeah, I told you that. Yeah. If I had to come back again in a new life, I would not own anything. I would just rent everything: shoelaces, socks, forks, knives, everything.
This I wanted to talk to you about that. There's a guy. I don't think I'd be able to. I don't know if I get in hold of him, but he's in New York City, and I think he was spending time somewhere in China. And he sold all his possessions. They had like an apartment in the city, and he got rid of all that. And just him and his wife, they just started doing Airbnb. Some Airbnbs I heard are, my friend and I were talking. He's like, dude, some people are renting Airbnbs. They don't realize it. New Orleans, but they're in the hood and they're getting robbed. I was like, yeah, that's not on the Airbnb website that you could get robbed. But the point of the story is the guy basically he made himself homeless. He stopped owning things because those things were owning him. And he goes, man, it just took the weight off my back. Steve Maxwell did it, who was like, he's a...
2020. I'm just making a commitment now. 2018, no phone. 2020, I'm getting rid of everything.
You're getting rid of, you're selling it all.
My shit.
Man, I think freedom is the ultimate, like, rich. It's the rich.
Oh, without a doubt. I was, you'll love this. I was in New York yesterday morning. I had to do a quick one-day turnaround in New York City. Or yesterday or the day before. And a Tibetan cab driver picks me up at the airport. And I got two phones going. I'm typing email. This was his first passenger.
He had a heart attack.
We're talking, millions with this deal, sponsorship, all these things. And he was just like, this is unbelievable. I hope someday and I was like, I hope someday to live in Tibet. What are you talking about? Like, why'd you leave Tibet? What are you doing here? So I think we get so caught up all around the world in trying to get monetarily ahead. I don't think we know what we're doing.
Yeah, I was listening to a great interview today by a guy. He's a billionaire. He's involved in like SpaceX and everything. And I think it's sometimes easy to say when you're a billionaire, hey, don't worry about the money. But when I got fucking billions, I'm not going to worry about the money either.
So I know. I remember I was interviewing Branson, and Branson said something like, he was just so nonchalant. He was like, build bridges, don't burn them, stay friendly with people. After I got in a lawsuit with British Airways, I invited him to lunch the day after we settled the lawsuit.
I heard that story.
It's $500 million he got. I would take the guy to lunch too. So would you.
So, I just want to be totally, I really love the transparency, to be honest. When you're running a business, you have to make money. Without it, it's stressing you out. So as much as we say...
You can't make payroll.
That's right. As much as we say don't chase the dollar, you are trying to make the money to allow you to live the lifestyle you want. But you won't... I don't want to say... See, you can make a lot of money being unethical. You could also make a lot of money helping a lot of people, but it's fucking hard, period. Because people,
I've interviewed women that have delivered, given birth, and
yes,
also
I heard
run
this.
businesses. And every woman I ask, says running a business harder than giving birth. So, yeah. Now Gary V. I read a great little quote from him the other day that said something like, your grandparents went through the Great Depression and the war, and you're upset over like not having 1,000 Facebook followers.
That's right. Yes.
Right?
He's an immigrant. I met his years ago. I invested in a pretty hefty consultation with him, and I actually have the notes. Man, I saved them. Gary V, if he's watching, I still have the notes. We did this in a Taco Bell that went out of business. They now own the building, but these notes are from, man, I think I was still a teacher, so it's got to be, this is July 23rd, 2008. I have the date on it. I still saved the notes, but he was so much talking about, like, okay, if you want to achieve this much, you're not going to just work till 10 p.m. It's going to go till midnight. You want to achieve A to D, you're going to work till 10 p.m. You want to get to like J, you're going to work till midnight. Midnight's going to become 1 a.m., going to become 3 a.m. In those times when I was teaching, there was very frequent times where I was working till 1, 2 in the morning, and I was friggin' exhausted. And technology took such a shift. I was doing, that's July 23rd, 2008, I was doing YouTube videos and, the .tv stuff with a flip cam. Flip cam went out of business, but he was very much talking about work and work. And now I'm trying to find that I say no to a lot of things and turn down money and opportunity because I'm like, that shit.
You have young kids now. If you and I didn't have young kids,
I would
say all
fucking.
the time. Spartan would already be. We would already have races on the moon if I didn't have kids.
That's right.
I can't. I put in 15-hour days now. I can't put in 20.
No, and you know what? There comes a point where I think you're just like, I don't even care. Like, I'm just gonna. I've been saying the no to so many podcast interviews. Let me send you my book. Let me interview you. Can I come to your gym and you could mentor me and I'll pay you and come to my gym and we'll do everything for you and blah blah. And somebody was telling me, he's like, dude, what if you could just do a seminar every 3 months and make $20,000? I was like, no, because then I'm giving up that weekend with my kids. I'm 40, and I think around about when I met you, I started really paying attention to time. I was like, I'm 38, but I remember yesterday I was 6 years old. I feel like it's going too fast, and I'm done messing around with getting buried behind a computer. So it's like I've realized that, if you're going to blow it up, I don't know, maybe you've got an awesome team that could help you do it. They're crazy smart, or you're single and you could just fucking work 3 days straight.
By the way, that's the problem with a lot of kids, right? Is I started young, you started young. A lot of people wait until it's late, right, in the game, and to put in those kind of hours. So I'm glad I did it when I was young. This was not expected. I was not planning on working this hard at this stage of my life. But it's so purposeful that I can't put it down. And I like to win. I want it to be successful, right?
I don't want to be second best either. I hate it.
I want to win.
I do. I do hate it. We're talking about your. We're gonna jump around a lot. That's how we roll. The one lady who did.
Let me just make sure something's going on here. Can you make sure they're not playing iPads if they are? Bring them down here. Watching something. Can you disconnect it? They can only watch swimming right now.
So,
thank you, John.
We're talking about this lady that you met that did the. Expedition.
No, the Explorers Grand Slam.
Yes. So it reminded me of this. So my daughter goes to all these different clubs for tennis, all these different clubs, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So I was at one of her private lessons, and the coach says, "So, Summer, what are we working on today?" And in my brain, I was like, "Holy shit! That's where my money goes." Somebody. Undergroundstrength.tv, which is where the podcast is at.
Wait. I lost you.
That's okay. I just gave everybody the.
What was, just for the viewers out there.
I told them they disconnected your computer.
Yes.
That's what I was saying. I said they tried to disconnect the iPads, but Joe got disconnected.
That's exactly what happened.
So I'm just telling everybody listening to, I'll have show notes and links to Spartan. You're going to have a new book coming out late August, mid-August, Spartan Fit. So I'm going to have show notes linked to all of that stuff. But what we were saying is, what I was saying with Russians and just immigrants in general, Gary V, take my daughter to all these different places for the tennis coaching. And you're always just trying to find somebody who's got, I just want energy, not let alone the technique, but I want high energy, right? It's like I'm amazed that I tell this often to coaches, like, if you're not fired up, you can't lead other people. You won't lead them if you're just...
We have a responsibility, right? If you're going to do it, you got to get people fired up.
Be fired up. Be like on a scale
or
1 to...
Or don't do it. Do something else.
But people do it, and I feel like people, I don't know, I guess like they got nobody else to hire or whatever, so I'll never forget, like, it's expensive when you're doing private training. And I take my daughter to a private, and normally it's my in-laws or my parents or my wife does it. But the coach says to my daughter, my daughter must have been like 8. She's like, so what are we working on today? And I was like, oh, crap. Like, the coach is asking my daughter what we're working on. There's like no energy. 5 minutes later, I left. I'm dropping off my daughter, and I told my wife, I was like, if I said that, if the 15 kids showed up in my gym and I said, so guys, what are we working on today? I'd be out of business yesterday.
What it would be like? Here's what it would be like. Visualize you and I showing up on Normandy Beach.
Yeah.
World War II.
Right.
We get there. You're the leader. You're like, yeah, guys.
What do you feel like doing?
Should we go up the hill? Should we stay here?
Are you guys cold? Like, do you want to wait? Like,
I feel like doing this today.
Right. That's a story tied in also Normandy Beach with Coach Rob Cole, his father fought on Normandy Beach, and he went on to be a undefeated wrestler in college, and it's because his frame of reference was like, wrestling is easy. I was just drafted into the war, and I was fighting people hand to hand with bayonets on my rifle. Wrestling is easy. They wrote about his father like pretty heavily in the book Wrestling Tough. You would love that book. But so we found a club that's run by majority are Russians. They're from Ukraine. They're from Georgia. They're from like different states in Russia. So I take my son to his baseball camp. It starts at 8 a.m. Yeah. But my daughter's camp starts at 9. So I'm like, let's just wait. Let's watch the first 15 minutes of the camp. Yeah. So what happens the first 15 minutes of the camp? Nothing. There's 5 coaches drinking coffee, waiting for each and every kid who's late. There's like 1 kid coming late every other minute. It starts at 8, but they wait for everybody who's late at 8:15. I left at 8:15. They still don't start. I take my daughter to the Russians. 9 a.m. Boom. They start 9 a.m. on the dot.
You cannot compete. You can't compete with Eastern Europeans, Russian. You can't compete with them.
Not only that, like I'm at their club. On the weekends, they must rent my wife took them to the other place. They rented, I guess, like the turf off of a school. My wife's like, this is amazing. They're running bleachers. Then my daughter shows me all the calisthenics and bodyweight they're doing. Then they play soccer for 30 minutes as their speed and agility and coordination. Then after all that, they're playing like 3 hours of tennis. They're just, and it was like American, Russian. And I said, thank God we found these Ukrainians, these Russians to coach my daughter, because you want to know what? Now she knows that that's normal. Not, what do you want to do today? No way. But you know what?
We may do a couple of push-ups. We may go for a walk.
You could do those push-ups with your head down, halfway down. The kids I train, they'll tell me, after the phys ed teacher said just do 2 push-ups because we're coming off of winter break. Why 2? What's so hard about just doing 10? What if all you did was, I always tell my athletes, the middle school kids. I go, you wake up, you do 10 squats, 10 push-ups, 10 lunges. Then you're going to do that after school. Then you're going to do it after dinner. So you're going to do 30 of everything. Let's say you just do it Monday through Friday. That's 150 in a week. Now that's 600 in a month. 600 times 12 is 740. So now we're at like, yeah, so now we're at like I don't know, we're at thousands. And all it takes is 2 minutes, 3 times a day.
Love it.
And it's like these little things, but here's what's interesting is you can do a shitty job or an average job, and it's all good. And I believe that, you know, like I tell my coaches, I go, guys, running the underground strength gym is very hard because not everybody likes to work hard. They eventually get too tired. Hey, Jack, how was wrestling camp? Good?
Good.
Who's this, Jack or Charlie?
This is Jack.
Jack, you're getting too big, dude. Are you guys going to come down to the beach again and rollerblade and everything else? Surfing. We have to go surfing.
My brother's the one that likes rollerblading.
You guys were rollerblading, skate. You guys were using everything. I loved it. We got to do it all. We need to really do it, Joe, and go surfing and spend a day at the beach and just training, swimming, surf. It's all training. It's all training in disguise. So here's the thing is people can do a poor job and not lose their job. A coach can have not in the NFL, not in the
pro. A teacher, you could sneak by, right?
Yeah, but
most people in life could sneak by.
Those are the most critical years. Those our kids. That's the most critical years. Like
not in our school, Zach. Not in the underground school.
I can't take it.
The underground school, we're only hiring Russians, Ukrainians, Polish, Eastern Europeans. It's gonna be. I'll bring in some Chinese kung fu instructors. We'll have wrestling.
I think it's going to be amazing. I remember years ago asking my dad, he lived in Romania and then they moved to Israel, and I said, you know, how did phys ed class look? And he said it was 3 times a week, about 2 hours. He goes, we'd go outside and you'd run the track. Then you did 20 minutes of handball. Then you did 20 minutes of soccer. Then they had small shot puts, small javelins for you're 8, 9 years old. You throw the small equipment. Then you do 20 minutes of calisthenics. He's like, and the school was connected to their training center. So you'd see the wrestlers outside wrestling. They pull the wrestling mat outside. You saw the weightlifters lifting weights outside. He said every 3 months.
Maybe we'll, if I ever could calm down, maybe we'll build it right into the mountain here in Vermont. We'll have it'll be the mountain school.
Yeah.
Snowshoeing in the winter. We'll make them shovel all the snow off the mountain.
It's all part of the training. One of the kids that I train, he's going to be a senior, and he was just exhausted the other day. I was like, bro, you're always like looking up. You look like you're going to cry. Like, what's going on? He's like, I work landscaping during the day. I go, that's a gift. I go, that's making you better. Stop looking at it like punishment. You should think I'm going to be a senior, and I'm lifting these wheelbarrows and these rocks, and that's making me better. Stop.
It's my dream. Are you kidding me? It's my dream.
Yeah, it's so hard, but I'm telling him, like, dude, do it now. You're 17. This is the time. But
my father used to make me move piles of sand for no purpose.
I remember you telling me that. I think what happens is, like, if you don't learn that hard work is a gift at your early years, it's super hard to try to change somebody in their teenage years.
Remember years ago, everybody used to wax their car. I don't think people wax cars as much today as they used to Simonize, right?
Right.
My father used to say, go wax the car. Take me 2-3 hours, car's waxed, right? He'd come out, inspect it. He'd say, nope, there's some wax there between the lines, clean it out. I didn't even know we had more lights in here. How's that? Is that better?
That's good.
I've been in Singapore. I didn't even know.
You didn't know you had lights. Well, we now are
wait, I want to tell you.
Too much of a rush.
I come in the house, right? I finally, he inspects it. It's good. He goes, go wax it again. It needs 2 coats.
Well,
6 hours of waxing.
The thing with us in general nowadays is we're in a rush. We're in a rush, meaning parents will bring their athletes. They've heard of the underground strength gym 4 years ago, but they're bringing the son 3 months before his last wrestling season, and they want to do 4 years of work in the next 4 months. or I'm an entrepreneur and I'm not making six figures working 2 hours a day on the computer. What? That's what's going on with that. We're in this.
I had an intern the other day, Zach. I gave her a specific job.
He's gone?
Specific job. I said, I need this thing done. You know what she wrote me back? I'm taking the next 2 days off. I gave it to your assistant.
Oh, shit. So that's why you had an intern done, right?
Unbelievable.
So right now we're, as we call, bringing the rain. We need to bring the umbrella. The answer to fixing this acceptance of mediocrity, you know, we spoke about this. I have it on video when we were in Vermont. I said, but this is the human food chain, meaning not everybody could be great because there can't be, every obstacle course company can't be the best, correct?
Correct.
So there's got to be some that go out of business, some that are breaking even, some that are doing good, and somebody's got to be second place behind you. We can't share the gold medal. They can't all be the best. Same thing with sports. Your kids wrestle, they're not sharing the gold medal. The kid that maybe doesn't win any matches in the tournament, we need that kid. So it's like, it's the human food chain, just like there's the food chain in the jungle, in, you know, the Sahara. I get, you know, that's kind of how I try to, I guess, put it into a perspective of reality that, okay, if every...
You're saying it, but I know you don't accept it, because when we talk, every time I talk to you, you're like pissed off that people are lazy.
Because if I'm going to work with you, then I can't accept lazy. I can't accept the fact that 1 hour of training you're not loving it, you know? And I'm like, I'm 40. When I was
a bar back. I was a bar back years ago.
Me
college,
too. I remember
right?
that. Yep.
In between running my own business, I'm working one night on a Saturday night. Everybody that I know from school is drinking and having a good time, and I'm happy. I'm carrying all the stuff from downstairs to upstairs behind the bar. And some people came over to me and said, "Man, you got to learn. You got to have some fun." I said, "Have fun. I'm having a blast right now."
Yeah. So
I just love work. You love work.
I love work, but I love to play. Like, I don't want to miss out on, you know, I've been trying to read up on this one guy. He's also hard to connect with. He's the guy that I think he started Bally's and then sold it in his late 50s. And I think he's in his early 80s now. He lives in Malibu. They call it like the Malibu Mob. What they do is, it's like anybody who lives on, it's like these retired pro athletes or guys like Laird Hamilton. They will wake up early together and they'll train for 2 hours. Then they'll swim, surf, stand up paddleboard. Like, I want to work. I want to do that kind of work.
Yeah. As long as your heart's pounding, you're sweating, or you're being productive. That's it.
Yes. And here's the thing: is like,
but after we get our school going, I'll move to Malibu with you.
Yeah. I think that I believe the school would work because
It would definitely work. Listen, in Sparta, okay, you know how hard they work. 13 years, 7 years old, they would go into the agoge, the kids, right? They would work them 13 plus years. I mean, the kids would run 10 miles with a mouthful of water. They had to show at the end of the 10 miles, they still had the water in their mouth. It was absolute torture, right? Bleed in training so you don't bleed in battle. All the well-to-do families from around the world would want to send their kids to Sparta because they trained like animals. They were unbelievable. So I think if we had a school, maybe the first year would be tough. Eventually, we'd get a lot of kids.
I don't doubt that for a second. I think that the parents don't know, and also I think it's hard to find greatness. It's here, there. It's like, I got to go here, then there. Parents run out of time. If there could be a school where the kids are going to get hard physical training, there's a couple of popular sports that they could compete in, and they're going to get the schooling, the knowledge, and they're going to get kind of like the problem-solving skills, the creative skills, that's going to fire people up. Like, I think of, like, when I used to help out at Blair Academy, I believe it's like $50,000 a year. They had no problem finding lots of, there were people coming to there from California there, and of course there were like dignitaries, like parents of kids of, like, you know, high up politicians. They were finding their way to excellence. So the answer is on our level would be, okay, we're going to build a school. But let's say, what advice could we give to the parents out there? We got parents listening. How can I lead my child to start getting tough that builds success in all areas of life?
You gotta let go.
Let go, what do you mean?
It's exactly opposite of your instinct. Your instinct as a parent is to coddle them, protect them. You gotta let go. We're the only animal on the planet that does not properly prepare our kids for life. A lion prepares, right? Every other animal prepares a kid and then pushes them out of the nest. We keep our kids living in the basement. We take care of them. We pay their bills. We tie their shoes. I'm a maniac, and I still tie my kids' shoes. I smack myself.
Yes, so I've learned to be tougher on my kids, but I explain to them like that it's a gift, meaning sometimes like my kids will finish the tennis, the wrestling, and they're like, we want ice cream. And I say, we can't reward yourself with food just because you worked hard. That hard work we did, that's the gift. I want you to love that. So I don't want you to be feeling like you worked hard, reward me all the time. Because a lot of times the reward happens. For example, I look at, I don't feel.
Hold on 1 second. The Spartan show is on. Is it on? Tell Johnny to turn it on. It's on any second.
On NBC, right?
On NBC, I want to watch it.
Okay, so we'll close out in like 5 minutes. But all right, so here's what I would say to the parents is, don't fear getting your kids to work hard. They're so scared of, is it too much? Are they too young?
What are they scared of?
Everybody thinks that everything is too much. For example, I work with athletes. So right now July is coming. The football players have to lift weights at school 3 days a week. But a lot of times they're bullshitting, they're BSing. And then the parent will say, it's too much. It's not too much. They're 16. If they're eating and sleeping the way they need to, and we give them those guidelines, they could come here and train twice a week, but they feed it into their brain that this is too much, and then the kid says...
That Russian climber, learn helplessness.
Right.
Learn helplessness. I'm telling you, first of all, as a parent or a teacher, they have to experience grit and resilience themselves. If they don't, they're not going to understand what level we could bring a kid to.
And they can't leave.
We're doing 2-a-days for 4 years. They just did 4-a-days.
Right.
No one was broken. Everybody looks healthy.
Right.
No problem.
So the parents have to lead. That's the thing. If a parent... So my kids think it's normal to see me doing lifting in the garage, running and pushing the truck as exercise. They think that's normal, and that's why I think they love to do this, because they see me doing it. But if I was potato chips all the time, sit on the couch, let's just watch TV, punch the clock at work, they would think that that's what they're going to do. But you know what I tell them? I go, whatever you do, you give it everything you got. That's how I know you honestly give it everything you got. You and I had that conversation. Like you
gotta give 100%, otherwise don't do it.
So parents have to lead. They've got to do work. What else can we say? Let's give a tip. What have you learned being in?
The biggest thing is you are doing your kid. You're actually setting your kid up to fail. If you're not teaching that kid how to deal with adversity in tough times by exposing them to it, you are setting your kid up to fail, because you're not going to be there for the rest of their life, right? So that's great. You're protecting them. That's great. You're paying their bill. My mother locked the door on me when I was pissed as a kid, right? I couldn't get in the house anymore when I turned 16. I didn't know what she was doing. She was toughening me up. She was smart.
You know what being from Israel and how they go into the military, I know you said like we should have. And I know you said this too. It's like I didn't develop my real grit for some reason until my later years when I was out of like competitive sport. And I'm like, man, I wish I I remember the Marine recruiter seeing me I wish I'd spent some time in the military. I think I would have had it even.
You and I both. I have military envy. I would have loved it.
A lot of, but when I say that, a lot of the veterans, they say, you should never wish it, because they say it looks great, but then you have all the trauma and just they say you're not really cared for. But let's give some hard answers for people, some entrepreneurial tips. We have entrepreneurs that are listening. We spoke about the hard work. What about smart work?
I'll show you my dog. I'm going to show you my dog. Hang on. That's Noodle. I'm going to tell you a story about her.
I remember. I think
she's the only one of her brothers and sisters that's still alive.
How old is she?
She's 13. Every month I make her fast, no food. So even me, her dad, is tough on her. Got to be tough on the dog.
You make the dog fast?
Got to fast.
How are you eating? Like, did you change any of your nutritional habits going to Singapore? And
I did. I'm a little thinner. I gave up meat. I don't drink anything but water. I was always getting a juice here and there. I don't drink any juices anymore.
Yep.
I gave up dairy.
What were you eating from dairy? Cheese or?
I would eat cheese here and there because I don't eat gluten. So I was running out of things to eat, and I found myself grabbing some cheese.
But you get your food, your cheese, and your milk from the farm, right?
Yeah, I was, but I'm not eating anymore. John, don't make so much noise. This is a high-end podcast we're filming right now.
In my mom's basement.
I gotta run. I gotta go.
All right. Let's plug a quick website, Spartan.com, and Spartan Fit. The book is coming out. I've actually got my.
You know what you should do, Zach? Anybody who wants to come to China in October. I know you don't like to fly.
What's in October?
October, I'm doing a Great Wall 60-hour Spartan race. Why don't you give one away to one of your listeners? All right, if they can give us a better way to parent, one paragraph, we'll choose the best one, and it's on us. They're going to China Agoge. It's called the Agoge, Agoge. I don't know the exact date, like mid-October.
Wow. So you're going to fly somebody out there?
Yeah, fly somebody out. How's that?
Where are they going to sleep? To be determined.
Come on. You know, I don't even know that word.
No food and no shelter.
Listen, they'll see the Great Wall like no one's seen the Great Wall.
Okay, so they just got to give us a parenting paragraph?
A paragraph on how to be a better parent. We'll read it, and you and I will choose the best one. Interesting.
Awesome. Spartan.com. Those of you listening, undergroundstrength.tv. Show notes. Share this out. Joe, talk to you later.
See you, bud.
Later, buddy.